Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, channel leaders, welcome to Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my true partner, Anthony. It's a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So, Anthony, I see you got a new toy. I saw your Instagram. You got your crash pad, your giant pillow. That thing's pretty cool.
You're not going to ask me how I am, right?
Well, I know you don't like when I ask you how you are. I care about my friends and stuff, but let's talk about your new toy.
I just don't want people to get sick of hearing it. But no, I haven't used it yet. I actually just put it together, the crash pad. I've been looking for one for a long time. I don't know if I talked about it last episode, but they rarely come on like OfferUp and Craigslist. This is what I've been checking for the last year and a half, and they never come up. And even if they do come up, it's like torn and in crappy condition. So I was just like, might as well just get one, right? Because I can fit it in the car. Well, actually, I don't know if I can fit it in the car. I can stuff it in the back of my trunk and bring it to a park or something and do stuff with it. So that's why I got it.
Well, that's cool because like you're building your own dojo in the back of your house, and you
essentially. And I just need to convince my girlfriend to let me throw her. So
that's be a hard no for a little while, I bet.
Yeah,
even on the crash pad.
I'm waiting for it to expand. Right now, it seems kind of loose. So hopefully, the foam will expand fully in the next couple of days, and it'll be fine. Yeah.
Try jumping on it. Do a little back rolls on it. Maybe compress it some more. Put some air in it.
Well, it's inside. It's just kind of loose, so I needed to expand fully. Yep.
All right. Well, apparently I made a mess up last time we talked. Trying to get this information out to people. Yeah. So, so what did I mess up on, Anthony? I know someone emailed us, and I think I noticed it afterwards also. But so what did I say?
Reddit was saying. I guess I just wasn't paying attention when you said it, but you said the World Championship was canceled, but it was actually the Tokyo Grand Slam that was canceled.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yep.
So
they usually don't have World Championship the same year as Olympics. So there was supposed to be Olympics this year, and then that got canceled. So it kind of was like confusing. So the question is whether they'll have a World Championship next year, because Olympics got pushed next year.
Yeah, you're gonna be a 2-year world champion now, or 3-year world champion almost. Damn.
But that'll be cool having Olympics and World Championship in the same year. But I can't imagine how much stress it'd be for the athletes.
Well, if they're gonna do both of them in Tokyo, it's gonna be. It might be easier. I think it might be just that back to back. Right, 1 month the World Championships and next month the Olympics. Let's do it.
That'll be pretty expensive for some people. They'll probably just stay in Tokyo for the month. It'll be cheaper than flying back and forth, I think. So
well, it might be for some people.
Yeah.
All right. So with some other news that we're trying to keep straight. I saw this week that USJA and USJF have announced that the next year, the 2021 Summer Nationals are going to be held in New Jersey in July on the 2nd and 3rd. But there's no real news there. It's like, okay, the Summer Nationals, it's a cool tournament. It's fun to go to and stuff. I've gone to it a couple of times. But there's something that I noticed that I don't think anyone's talking about, or I haven't seen really talk about it really, is that, so on the poster, on the banner they put up, it said juniors, seniors, veterans, and at the end it said Kosen. So I think
they're trying to push that Kosen thing pretty hard.
Well, I think it's a huge tournament to have it at. Not a small one, but it's actually one of the bigger tournaments, one of the more legit tournaments that they added Kosen division.
Yeah. So for the foreign listeners who aren't familiar in the US, there's 3 organizations. There's USA Judo, which is the national governing body for the Olympics, and then there's USJF, and then there's USJA, and they each hold their own nationals. So USJA is traditionally summer nationals, USJF is winter nationals, and then USA Judo is just called senior nationals. So
yeah.
But last year, if I remember correctly, USJA and USJF held the winter nationals together.
Yeah,
that was like a co thing. Like
for the past few years they've been doing for the past few years they've been having like a co-branding to like do it together. They call it the grassroots tournaments to help promote judo for youths, adults, senior members. And I guess now they're gonna try to bring in some like outskirts people that want to do some Kosen style, people that want to do what some people feel like more traditional judo with more newaza. So
yeah, we talked about we talked about the USJA Kosen rules in one of our older episodes, so I can't
Yeah,
remember what number it was. It's like 2, 3. So
something like that.
yeah,
Well, let's
so
see if
go
they
check it
actually.
out.
Well, we were talking about that before, that they keep evolving the rules and changing things. Let's see if they
hmm
keep it to those rules or if they change them in the next like few months, because it's only in July.
I don't remember if they took out guard pulling
Hmm.
because I don't want to see guard pulling.
Well, I hope they did, because that's technically, unless they're doing tomonage, it's not a judo throw. Like
Yeah.
pulling guard is just pulling guard. So that's a little bit of American news. I'm gonna get a little bit of international news now. So next weekend is the first IJF tournament. Could be held in Hungary. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be
I
really interesting. It's gonna be the first big tournament.
I remember Hungary is one of the European countries that where the COVID rate's still pretty high. So
I I didn't want to bring it up, but since you brought it up, I did look it up today, and their numbers were going up. They were saying, but I think everyone's going up. It's just the fall. It's going to go up. It's just going to happen.
yeah, so for the people that are interested, IJF on their website on the front page, they have a link to the COVID guidelines protocol that you can download, and on that link, there's one for Hungary. There's one for English and one in French. Um, do you have it in front of you, right? Because I have it right here.
I have like the two main pages in front of me, the two more interesting ones, I think. So one of the first things they have on there is that, so before you get to go to the tournament, you have to have 2 negative tests within 5 days. That's what it says. Within 5 days, you have to have 2 negative tests. And then I'm assuming that once you get there, you have to get another test once you arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is that you must wear a 3-layer surgical mask at all times. It's pretty much you have to wear that mask the entire time. The only time you're allowed to take it off is when you're competing and when you're eating. And a weird one that I think kind of weird about it is that, so I understand when you're competing not to wear the mask. I understand when you're eating not to wear the mask. But they have this thing that mask is optional at warm-ups. So when you're at the Tatami warming up area, it's optional wear a mask or not wear a mask. Where I don't know, just for
the
safety
warm-up
reasons.
area outside?
I don't know. I don't know the setup.
Well, they also said there's a dedicated line at the airport at the border control for judo family. So that's where they're gonna check all your documents, like your tests that you like check. I'm sure there's gonna be people that can fake it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
look at what happened with the UFC. Like they're doing all these things. Like you have to go to one of their hub cities, get tested there,
yeah,
wait
but
a week or
UFC
2 weeks.
contracts people to test it. Here, it's like you go test before you come here. So I can be like, it's like forging a doctor's note, like signed by Dr. Juan Rodriguez. That I tested negative.
Get some Photoshop,
Yeah,
just wipe this
at
out. Hollywood here.
Hollywood Judo
Hollywood
health
Judo doctor.
department, health testing facility.
Sports doctor. Yeah, I did nasal swabs on everybody. Yeah, I'm good. Everyone's good. Trust me.
Yeah, so you got to bring the tests, and they're gonna test it. Check your documents and everything at the airport, and hopefully they're quarantining. Did they say anything about quarantining on that list?
Well, they said that they're not allowed. There was a thing about like they're not allowed to go anywhere other than the hotel and the competition. But I can't find where I read it at. It might have been somewhere else.
Huh.
But yeah, that's interesting.
They're going to test you again, I think it seems like.
I would assume so. And they said that they're going to test regularly temperature checking also everybody. But temperature checking it's not a foolproof thing. Like people can be asymptomatic and not show anything,
I wonder how this is going to mess with people's weight cuts, because they're going to test you again and then you can't eat or anything and not drink water before the test. So I don't know. I mean, you have more experience with weight cutting than me. So,
well, the thing is that with the nasal test that they do now, like I've taken it, like for my job, I have to get a COVID test for any time I work on a TV set or movie set now. So I've had things where I have to spit in a cup. I've had things where I've got the throat swab and then the nasal swab. I've had just a medium nasal swab, and I had them like scratch my nose with it going halfway up my brain. And when I first took the test, they were saying don't eat or drink anything 30 to 40 minutes before you test. Now they don't say that now. With the nasal test, it's just that they swab your nose, and there's nothing, there's nothing about like no
here on this document. It says 4 hours prior to the arrival of their official hotel, do not eat, do not take candies or chewing gum, do not drink, not even water. Do not smoke. Do not brush your teeth. Do not rinse your mouth. Do not use any kind of nasal sprays or drops.
That's knowing that now. When you say that, it sounds like they're going to do the throat swab, the throat and nasal swab. So one
Okay.
of each. The thing is that if they do the nasal one that I've had done to me, like I scratch my brain, that's a rapid test that gets done in like 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Well, we'll find out how it affects the weight cutting.
Yeah. So many people miss weight, be sucked out even more.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so if you want to look that up, the IGF put out the PDF so people can look at it, people can read it. The most interesting to me is the whole warm up section.
Mhm.
So when you're warming up, like I don't know, I think people should still have their mask on when they warm up. Oh,
What?
and with the mask, it has to be a full covered mask. It can't be the mask with the ventilators on there or any holes
Okay.
inside. It has to be a 3-layer mask the entire time.
Why don't they just do these events outdoors? Like I was watching YouTube the other day. They like I think it was Czech Republic. They were holding a judo tournament outdoors with the mats like on the grass. It was like they had 3 mats going on, like three matches going on at a time. Why don't
That
they
sounds
just
cool.
do something like that? Like
That sounds very interesting and fun to do. I don't know why I don't know the location. I don't know where they'd be fighting at. I don't know the weather in Hungary right now. Could be raining, could be snowing for all I know.
Well, they can block out like a week or 2. I think that's better than like if they have bad weather one day, then they'll just wait until there's a good day, right? But then the athletes wouldn't know when they're going to fight, which wouldn't make much of a difference anyway to me because
it'd be the whole weight cutting thing again. You know, it'd be like, I'm trying to cut weight. Oh, sorry, you're postponed until tomorrow. Son of a bitch.
Yeah,
so
this is why they need to put up like a Muay Thai kind of corrugated sheet metal thing. I was telling you about that.
Yeah. You sent me a video of a dojo in Baja, California. It's really cool.
Yeah, like that'll be cool outdoors, holding a tournament outdoors.
Well, there was one time here in LA in Little Tokyo, they had like I can't remember if it was like a karate tournament. They did do a sudo tournament outside one time, which was really cool. You actually find videos of you still find videos of it. It was like years ago. They did a sumo tournament out in Little Tokyo. And I think they did a karate one time, but no judo outside. Because I don't know, it's gonna suck. You just got the 2-inch mat right there and you're getting thrown directly on concrete, right on cement.
Well, most of the tournaments, they just put those mats straight on wooden floors and the
gymnasium.
So
yeah, I guess so, but you would think that there's like some sort of like little give to the hardwood that's not directly on concrete.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be on concrete. Just find grass. I think grass field.
And we have some stadium. Put some get some stadium seating out there also.
Yeah, but then you'll have people be like, "Oh, he only threw me because of the tailwind." Like, kind of like
there was a little moisture on the mat from outside. I slipped. It wasn't real ashiwaza. I just slipped myself.
There's banana peel. Yeah.
So that's to be coming up. The IGF's gonna have the first tournament. That's kind of fun to watch. You can watch it on their they have announced that it's gonna be on the website, so you can go to watch it there live, which would be interesting. I wonder if anybody coughs, everybody's gonna be like, stop, be like, oh no, who was that? Before we get into our main topic, we're gonna continue with tournament today. But I want to get our main topic of I'm going to give a shout out to Judo Chop Suey. He listens to us. We listen to him. He gave us a shout out. We're going to give him one. He did a great interview with Ajax, a former member of the US team. I actually really enjoyed that interview a lot. I learned a lot from it.
Yeah, I learned so much about the inner workings of the team. And it kind of aligns with what Kayla Harrison and Travis Stevens was saying.
It's the same. And I've heard people say that, oh, he's just a little, like, if you haven't heard it, you should go listen to it. Really should. I've heard people say, oh, he's just bitter. He's just mad. He didn't do it. It's like, if you listen to it, it's the exact same thing that Kayla said. It's the exact same thing that Travis said. And they're like great players. They're Olympic athletes. Okay. They're both medalists and they're saying the exact same thing. So you can't be like, oh, he's just mad. Oh, he's bitter. No, forget that. It's the truth. Truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone's denying it. But they're basically saying they have good reasons for the way things are. There's just really not much they can do about it. But,
oh yeah, because they build so many champions. Because we have so many champions here in America right now. All the great athletes we have. all the medals we take everywhere else, but judo. Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to get into. So let's go back to tournaments. Let's go back to judo tournaments. So. We talk about tournaments since we're talking about like what's going to happen with the summer nationals and the IGF tournaments. Talk about local tournaments. Talk about local and like some of the ones that I've been to in California and Anthony's been to in Texas and stuff.
Yeah, like I was looking back in my tournament footage. Like I posted one from one of my first wins that I can find on Instagram, and I just don't miss tournaments that much, honestly. Like I don't.
Yeah.
when people are like, someone messaged me and asked me like, hey, like, when do you miss tournaments? Like, when was the last time you fought? And like, what was the atmosphere like? And I'm like, it was just a lot of waiting. And then they asked me like, do you have a routine that you or a strategy when you go in a tournament? I'm like, I usually do, but then by the time it's my turn, I kind of just don't give a shit anymore. I just want to go home.
Oh no.
So then they're like, oh man, it sounds like being in a tournament sucks. And I'm like, yeah, like the longest I've waited was like 13 hours to fight.
Yeah.
That was the
I,
longest I've ever waited. I mean,
I did a
that
12-hour wait one time.
yeah, that's not normal. I don't want people to be like, I don't want people to stop going to tournaments because they
Yeah.
think it's going to be a 13-hour. On average, the shortest I've waited is 3 hours, and on average is 5 hours. But the
Mhm.
longest I've waited was 13. And honestly, after 13 hours, I was about to I was hungry, and I didn't want to
Yeah,
eat.
because you got your coach saying, "Hey, don't eat. You're gonna go up soon. Don't eat too much. You're gonna go up
Yeah,
soon. Don't
you
get a full
warmed up like
stomach."
6 times by then, and then you're just drained at that point. And then you're trying to hydrate the whole time, but not to the point where you're like got to pee, right? But then
Yeah.
at the end, you have to go pee, and then you don't
That's
know if your name's gonna get called up. And
the worst thing to have. You get thrown your piss on your pants.
yeah, just a bit.
Just a bit. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so it was the San Jose tournament. I think I weighed in at 7. I can't remember what time. I weighed in at 7. I didn't fight till like 8. I remember.
So when you went to San Jose, okay, that's interesting. So when you went to San Jose,
Uh-huh.
you weighed in the day of.
Yeah, I weighed in the day of.
So every time I've competed in San Jose, I always do the day before weigh-ins.
Mhm.
And so you do the day before, and then they give you your number, and then you just look up your number and you see where you're going to fight at. But they don't but here's the thing, they don't email you or text you or anything. You just got to get there early in the morning still and still look up, oh, where's my number? Okay, I'm on this mat at this time, supposedly.
Yeah, they ended up not having enough people anyway for my category, so they merged the weight classes into like lightweight, light heavyweight, like that kind of crap anyway. So I don't know why they needed to weigh in day of, but actually they might have allowed satellite weigh-in, but maybe I signed up late. But anyway, yeah, the topic we're going to talk about basically is what would we change about tournaments, right?
Well, it's not like what we change, but it's like what we like, what you expect and stuff. I know
Mhm.
Anthony says that he hates the waiting game. And I hear that a lot from people. Me myself, I grew up going to karate tournaments, taekwondo tournaments, wrestling tournaments. So the waiting game is, and I want my mom used to hate going to tournaments because of that. She would like hate. She's like, "Oh, it's a Juanito, it's a whole day thing. We're gonna be here all day." And I'm just in my head thinking, like, yeah, it's gonna be a whole day thing. If you make plans and do something else on a tournament day, you are crazy. All right.
Yeah.
When you go to a tournament, that is all you're doing. I'm sorry. All right.
Yeah,
But I love competing. I love
we
competing. I love doing stuff. The only
we
reason I
have
don't
people.
compete.
Oh, sorry.
No, go
Continue.
ahead.
I was gonna say like we have some people in our dojo that they're freelancers of some sort, like whether they're personal trainers or whatever. They wait half a day and then they'll just leave. They'll lose their sign up whatever money they paid and go work. They'll be like, okay, I can go make $200 right now, or I can stay here and wait the whole day. Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of people sign up and leave, and I've seen that happen before.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes where people will sign up, they'll leave, or they'll sign up and go do something and come back, be like, oh, sorry, we finished your category already. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
shit. But to me, I don't know, because I just grew up in it more, or I'm just used to it. If I go to a tournament, that's my day. That's my whole thing right there. I'm going to a tournament. I know I'm going to wait a long time. I bring my phone, my charger, my Kindle, some music to listen to, a movie I want to watch, but that's my day. And
That's
people aren't used
for me too.
Yeah, but the thing is that people aren't used to it. They're not used to waiting all day. Because I know friends that did like basketball or football or like baseball. They go to their game in the morning and they're done. Unless they're like at a baseball tournament, they have like more baseball games and stuff. But if you're from wrestling and karate, you're used to the wait. It's a part of it. I wish we can fix it.
You have to remember though, both of us don't have kids. And
if I had a kid,
kind
it would
of
be
allows it.
if it was me, it would be like a family affair. Either with like a junior or whatever I have,
Yeah,
boy or girl.
I
Like,
spoke
let's go
to some
morning.
people, and they're like, "Yeah, my wife is probably never ever going to let me compete again because it took a whole day, and all we did was just sit here and most of the fights were little kids, so they didn't enjoy like watching it as much." So.
Yeah. Well, like to me, like I said, like if you're gonna do it, you gotta think if it's an all day thing. Don't bring your significant others with you. I'm sorry. Don't bring your girlfriend. Don't bring your wife, unless you got kids and they're gonna watch them compete. That's just my thing because it's gonna get boring for them. It is, but to me, it's an all day thing. But that brings us to our first point right there. So you're an adult and you're doing judo. Okay, you want to go compete. And you go to the tournament, and all they have are the youths that go first. The little kids, like the 5-year-olds, competing first, and they go to the preteens or the juniors, preteens, teens, and then they get to the adults. And I always thought that was a terrible way of doing tournaments. Like I think that most tournaments I've gone to have 4 to 6 mats. Okay, if you're lucky, they have 4 mats. The smallest one I've been to has 3 mats, and but yeah, the smallest I ever went to has 3. I did go to one that had 2 mats actually a very long time ago. But average tournament's going to have 4 to 6 mats, sometimes 3. But I always thought that, okay, we want to do the youths first because the parents want to get their kids in and out. I get that. But why don't we just have 1 mat for the adults, and you don't have to do like adult black belts first. Like, how about do adult white belts, adult brown and black belts? Because there's not as many of us. So keep the 3 mats for kids, but keep 1 for the adults. That way the adults have the incentive that if I go there, I'm going to get to compete at a decent time. Or do what other sports do and have the adults come later. I know you might get a smaller turnout because they're worried that people might wake up in the afternoon and be like, oh, I don't want to go to the judo tournament after all. But how about instead of having the adults be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, when we know we're not going to compete till 1 or later, how about have the adults come in at 12, and have weigh and cut time at 1 o'clock?
Well, I think their reasoning is there's so many more kids to go through.
Yeah.
That they want to like maximize the amount of mats to go through them as fast as possible. And the reason I've heard, I don't want to say excuse, but the explanation I've heard is that parents don't want to stay there a whole day. That's the number one thing.
No, okay, parents want to stay there all day, but adults say you guys can stay all day.
That's the one. Number 2, the kids get anxious and they lose focus as the day goes on. They get tired, they fall asleep. I mean, you've been in tournaments, you see the kids running around, so they want to get them out of there as fast as possible is number one thing I've heard. Regarding dedicating a mat to adults, I actually seen that at was it a President's Cup or USJA National Senior Nationals? Basically, when I went to Texas, when I was still in Texas, I went to the Senior Nationals President's Cup. I can't remember which day it was because they're back to back, one day after the other. They did have 1 mat dedicated to black belt adult seniors, but it was just black belt. So me as a novice was like, I had to wait. I still had to wait.
You got to pay your dues, man. I'm sorry.
And I couldn't tell if that was like a way for them to incentivize more of the nationally ranked players to show up, because like you don't see Kayla Harrison or Tara Stevens or even Angelica Delgado or any of them usually don't show up to USA Nationals, right? To compete in. Maybe they show up to just make an appearance, but I don't recall seeing them compete. And I think I've seen it once or twice, but so I think having them go first is one incentives to get them to compete, which is why they have the black belt senior divisions go first.
Yeah.
But that was around about the only time I've ever seen adults go first. Unless it's a really small tournament, then they usually finish really soon, early in the day, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, I know that the Winter Nationals that's held out here, they usually will have they'll have 3 or 4 mats for the youths, for the younger ones, but they'll have 2 mats usually for the adults. And they'll start off with the black belt. They'll go senior black belts, then they'll go masters. I think they go novice or senior black belts, but I can't remember exactly, but they'll have the senior black belt division go up the same time as the youths do in the morning. But I have had people get confused about that because I had a guy one time, like we told him, oh yeah, the senior black belts go up with the rest of it, like when the youths do in the morning and stuff. But he signed out for masters thinking that it was that all the adults are going to start in the morning, and he still didn't compete till like 3 or 4 anyways in the afternoon, and he was mad about it. I was like, dude, you signed up in the masters division. I'm sorry, that's how it is still.
Yeah, so as of lately, I think the last couple of years, they did start giving like a rough time frame to show up. Like they would tell our sensei, like, hey, we expect adults to start around noon. I mean, I don't recall ever showing up at the time that they tell us to show up, and still went within the 2 hour time frame. I think usually we still have to wait 3 or 4 hours afterwards. So if they say show up at noon, then you don't fight till 3 or 4.
Yeah, but I think a 3 or 4 hour wait's a lot better than getting there at 9 in the morning, you know?
So, I mean, that's that regarding the delay. I think everyone knows how bad it is now, but I think one of the main reasons is they want to maximize the amount of signups. So they'll take signups the day of instead of doing pre-registrations only.
Yeah.
So one of the better run tournaments I've been at was pre-register only. I think it was the Winter Nationals, actually. They don't take signups the day of.
Yeah.
That one costs more though, obviously, because they have a nicer venue. They have the numbers posted on, so you can see from far away, like, oh, you're matched 34, so they're at number 5 right now. Then you can go take a dump or something, right? Yeah.
Well, with Winter Nationals, so you weigh in usually the day before or at a satellite, and then the night before, sometimes it's not up to really late the night before or early the next day, they'll have the sheets up on the website, the PDF that you can download, and you look up your division, you find out what your number is, and most of the time it's the right number. But sometimes you'll even get to the venue and you go check your number again, and your number could have changed because someone dropped out or something happened.
Yeah. That's I think the best run tournament I've been at was Winter Nationals, and I was injured, so I couldn't compete, but I was there most of the day because I was helping out like with coaching and carrying tape and all that and belts, making sure everyone has a belt and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but that was really well run.
It's good when you get the number because you said they have the number that's up right there, so you see your match number. What is it? I'm with a session 2 or whatever. I'll be like session 3 nowadays. So like session 3, match 20. So I see on the thing, it says, okay, they're in session 2 right now, match 50. It's like, okay, I still got time. I'll go lay down in the back. Oh, session 2 starting. So I look for session 2 and I see what match they're on right there, and I can start warming up then, doing what I want. But so I think it's run well.
That's kind of a trade-off, though, if you think about it, because they're doing last-minute signups in hopes of more people signing up. But then they need to figure out, if they didn't do last-minute signups all the time, and people start realizing, hey, if they pre-register only, then they'll be on time, then maybe more people will sign up because of that, right, in the first place.
Well, there's also the incentive, like, for Winter Nationals, like we're praising Winter Nationals right now, but it's one of the closest tournaments, one of the best one runs around us, is that they do the thing where it increases in time also. Like when Winter Nationals first comes out, it's like a $40 to $50 tournament. Yep. Then you get the 1 month out, then it becomes like a 60 or 80, I can't remember exactly, till like the week of, if they receive your thing, it's almost $100 tournament. Yeah. To most judo players, that's a very expensive tournament. Yeah.
The venue they rent out is really nice though, like the Azusa.
Azusa Pacific College.
Yeah. That's also where they host a lot of BJJ tournaments. That's where I went to go watch some BJJ tournaments. And it's a super nice venue. I'm sure it's expensive to rent it out. So I just think they need to start charging more for judo tournaments, just because they're expensive in the first place already. I'm sorry, cheap in the first place. So they just need to charge more, do pre-registration only, and then start setting schedules. And I think there's software out there that does it, because I know the BJJ tournaments use like software.
Yeah. Actually, there was a guy that I saw at one of the coaching clinics, one of the coaching meetings, I think it was, that offered to do it, that he's seen it done, in other words, and he said that he can write the software and use it for us. But I never heard anything else after that. I heard him offer it, but nothing came of it.
Right before I moved to LA, I know who you're talking about. I think he's from Sawtell, and they used it for the Sawtell tournament, the anniversary tournament. But then I didn't hear about it after, and I think there was he said something, don't quote me, but I think he said something along the lines of they decided not to use it for some reason. I don't know if it's whether they didn't like it or maybe there's something about the coming in terms with the rights of using it, like maybe they wanted him to promise them full rights and give away the software. Maybe they asked for something unreasonable, or maybe he asked for something unreasonable. I don't know, but in the end, it wasn't done. And because I read that, I think at the time I was thinking of writing my own software, because I'm a software engineer by trade.
And you're gonna sell it to him yourself?
Well, I was gonna do it, but then I'm like, if I do it, it has to be nonprofit because there's already software out there that BJJ tournaments use. So if someone wanted to pay for it, they would pay for why not just pay for something that already exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of BJJ tournaments run all the time, way more than judo tournaments in the US at least. So those are more tried and tested and proven with bug fixes and stuff. So if I were to write it, it would be free. But this guy did it for free, and for some reason nobody's using it. So maybe, yeah.
Well, it goes back to your point of, I really do think it's a big thing that, you know, judo, we want to get as many people as we can into judo and not shut people out, that we have that day of weigh-ins. And I think one of the things is that when you do the software, you have to do satellite weigh-ins. You have to either come to a place the day before, you know, and weigh in, where when you do the day of, it's like, hey, you know, you wake up in the morning, you want to know what? I think I am going to go compete today. You know, I think I am going to get some people. Like, call your friends, like, hey, let's go do it. And you get those few, like, I don't know, like maybe 10, 15 people. I don't know how many people show up the day of and actually do it. Well, actually, in judo, since we're all used to it, probably like 90% of the day of.
Imagine the three organizations shared their stats on average delays. I don't know if they keep track of it. They should. It's like average length of a match, average delay, injuries. When injuries do happen, what's the average delay that happens for injuries? So they can use those stats to start getting better estimates of when things would start and when things would end. And there's value in all that, and that's all valuable data, you know. Like,
yeah, no,
everyone should know, like, data is like, individual data is trash, but then when you gather enough of it, and you can kind of paint a big picture out of it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're doing that, but that's what our membership fee should go for too, right? It's like
go making software.
Well, not just software, but just tracking the data. So whether it's, I'm sure there's some off-the-shelf software out there that gathers all this data already. But imagine you have, I don't know whether they have that for BJJ tournaments, but imagine you have this software, everyone signs up online.
Yeah.
And then when you sign up, it automatically draws all the brackets.
Yeah.
And then you just plug in the numbers of, like, okay, the average match lasts 3 minutes or 3 minutes 10 seconds, and then from that you set all the schedules up, right? And then on your phone you can download the app and you can see, like, oh, I'm gonna be session 3, I'll go around like 2 p.m. And then let's say injury happens, and then it takes them a while for the EMT to come drag the guy off the mat and all this kind of stuff. After that, whoever's at the table can be like, okay, injury happened, to delay, that was the end of the delay, so now you push the schedule back automatically. Everyone on their phone gets to see, like,
that's the thing, we need an app just like that. We need an app that can text us and let us know this shit. We need a judo app. Anthony, okay, I'm gonna assign you this. You make a judo app. No,
you make it sound so easy. It's hard.
I know,
but
no, but the thing is that you talk about the injury thing. That's what happened last year at I believe it was last year or year before that, maybe, at Winter Nationals. Like, I don't know which mat it was. Like, it was, okay, 1, 2, 3. Like, I think it was like mat 5 or 6. I was just flying through matches, like going, like just doing really well. And then someone got hurt, and it was like almost 45-minute delay right there. And that match and all those matches got pushed back. And everyone's just like, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? What's going on? If you did have an app right there, you just be like, injury alert, timeout, you know, or everyone's being pushed down to this mat now or something.
Yeah. So injury is the number one delay, right? For things, because they can't move the person off the mat. If they have a neck injury or head injury, they can't move them off the mat. Or if they're bleeding, then they're gonna wrap them up and stuff. But another thing is, for kids at least, I think most injuries happen for kids, and the most common one is concussions, like they hit their head. At least from me staying all day at a tournament, watching everything from beginning to end. I'm just weird like that, right?
Yeah.
Most people will go take a nap or go somewhere else, right? But I just
that's how I am. When I'm there coaching or I'm there watching a friend, I'm there watching everything. I'm there all day enjoying everything. When I compete, I go in the back and find a corner, lay down and watch shit. But
so you probably notice kids always hit their head. And I think a lot of that has to do with ukemi skills. Either the coaches aren't teaching them ukemi well enough, or basically, okay, let's step back a little bit. If a white belt adult comes in and says they want to compete, you as a sensei, when would you say they are ready? How would you say that they are ready?
if they're a white belt, say if someone started with me and they're a
Mhm.
white belt, I wouldn't let them compete until minimum of being at, they have to be a minimum yellow, but most
Mhm.
likely an orange belt. And that's
So
usually the time I
ignore
tell
the belt
people.
colors for a second. Like
Yeah. Okay.
what
So they would have to be doing judo for at least 6 months to a year.
Mhm.
At least 6 months to a year before I let them go in a tournament. And if I see that they have bad skill and they're not that good at it, I would not sign their paperwork to let them go
Mhm.
compete. And if they ask me, I tell them why not to compete. Also, I tell them, don't do it. This is why. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't think you're
Yeah,
ready. And
so
that's one thing. I'm honest with people. I
mhm.
know other senseis that are just like, no, you're not doing it, and that's final. And people don't
Yeah.
like that. You have to give them a reason why not.
See, so for you're getting to the point that I was trying to make was
Yeah.
like you don't want them to hurt themselves and
Mhm.
other people, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to see them doing dangerous techniques. You don't want
Yeah.
to see them have shitty ukemi, basically, right?
Mhm.
So why are a lot of these kids that were posting their arms out and like sticking their necks out and stuff like competing?
I think because kids are nimble, they're Gumby-ish, they heal really fast. So
Yeah, but I feel like at that
no,
point you
I'm
should
not serious. Okay, I'm not serious.
at that point you should kind of have a good gauge of how good a kid's break fall is,
Mhm.
right?
Well, I also think that when people think about youth competing, and I think the way we teach our dojo is a little bit more safe than sorry when it definitely comes to people
Mhm.
competing, is that other senseis or other schools think that, they're kids. They're not going to hurt each other that badly. They're not going to, like I said, if they fall, they're going to collapse. They're not going to break themselves, not going to put their arm out to brace or something when they're young. It's not until they get older and they get more serious about judo and they start fighting more stuff. That's when it starts to become a time like, okay, I don't think you should compete just now. But I think
Yeah.
with the younger kids, you just see them just like I said, they're very nimble and they're like they just fall over easily and get back up. That's why I think some senses would be like, oh yeah, it's okay. But us at our dojo, we see kids that want to compete and we tell them, no, I don't think you're ready yet. Like everyone
Mm.
at our dojo has to get permission from the instructors to compete. And there's been situations where we've had adults that just wanted to, like, they got up that one morning, it's like, hey, you want to know what? I know there's a tournament this weekend. I want to go test myself. And they find an instructor at the tournament that will sign the paperwork for them. Will be like, oh, hey, I'm from Hollywood Judo. Can you sign this for me? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, you're one of Philippe's guys. Or, oh, yeah, Juan. Okay. And they'll sign the paperwork for them. And it's become a big thing. But the way our dojo works, that no one competes without permission.
I mean,
That's
it's
how,
other than
even with the
safety, it's a
youths.
sign of respect too, right?
Yeah. It's also with the youths thing. Like we have
Yeah.
members that none of our youth members compete unless we give them permission to compete. But we've had one member that's one of our youth members that he's part
Trains
of
at
two gyms.
yeah, two dojos.
And for our dojo, we don't want him competing. He's not like, we don't want him to hurt himself. We don't want him to hurt someone else. He's not that level, we feel. But as other sensei at the other dojo, he has all those guys compete. He has all his kids compete and he'll sign off on it.
Yeah.
And it's funny
So
because he'll face some of our own guys sometimes and be like, hey, are you going to coach him? Like, technically I can't coach him right now. He's not fighting for my school. Like he's not I hate to say, but he's not my problem right now.
but yeah, I think reducing injuries would be a good way. I mean, everyone wants to reduce injuries, but that is a major cause for delays because especially kids will cry over every single little boo-boo, right? So
A kid will lose a match and he'll start crying. Right. But yeah, so let's say about, you should have an adult mat. I feel you should have an
mhm.
adult one. Adults should be able to come and weigh in later. And we should maybe have like early weigh-ins, early registration. I think all these things would help out judo immensely. If not just make judo more popular, but at least get judo tournaments running more smoothly, that will make it more popular over time. Because I know it's one thing that all my BJJ friends, they love about BJJ is that their tournaments run like clockwork. You
Yeah,
know what time you're going to
they're
go up.
great.
You know what time you compete. And I've been to them before. It's like, damn, these things do run smoothly. Why can't
Yeah.
we do this?
And
Damn.
again, injuries are, especially head injuries, are less common in BJJ because there's not many throws. So
Yeah, but I've
injuries
seen
do
guys get.
happens usually for arms.
Yeah,
And,
I've seen
yeah,
their arm guys like arms get a little yanked
yeah,
a little
but
too
then you can
hard.
just drag them off. So
Dragging them off.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons why BJJ tournaments are run better too, is because there's less serious injuries happening.
Mm-hmm. And then it kind of goes back to our other thing we talked about before, and what USJA and USJF are doing for summer nationals is Kosen. Maybe we
Mhm.
add something like Kosen Judo will bring more people into coming to tournaments throughout the day. and let's doing judo. Let's like, so we have the adults go at the beginning, we have the kids go at the beginning, and then at the end or in the middle when the adults are done, then we start doing kosen judo after that. What do you think?
I wonder if are they doing it as a pre-register thing? Because the last 2 times I've seen them do kosen, it was kind of like hey, we're gonna do a kosen division. Who, like, at the end of the day when everyone's left already, and it's like, who's interested?
That's just how,
like,
that's just how we do the tournaments at the end of tournament. The tournaments at the we do the team tournaments at the end of tournament.
Yeah.
It'll always be like the guy be like, "Hey guys, we're gonna do a team tournament at the end. Is anybody interested?" And you just get these mishmash teams of like, okay, Team SoCal versus Team NorCal, Team UC Davis versus Team Nanka. So, but I think it'd be another way to get people in. So you do the adults, maybe you do the pre-register for even kosen to get people to come inside. Get people in, spend the money, come to judo tournaments. But I think you should know, we should put a little disclaimer that kosen will be at the end of the tournament or after the adults kosen division will start.
Will they allow BJJ people to sign up though? Because I know like the original intent that Gary Goltz said was to get BJJ people to be involved in other grappling tournaments like judo. But they need USJA or USJF or USA Judo membership to sign up for
that. That's the whole
usually.
thing. That would be the 2 main things. You know, you would have to be a member of one of the 3 major federations, and you have to have a judo gi, and you'd have to have at least a knowledge of what the rules are. Because the worst things, I've had my own BJJ guys, my own guys that are like BJJ guy brown belts or black belts and brown belts. Yeah, they'll do stuff and be like, "Dude, what do you mean?" It's like, you pulled guard, man. You pulled guard and he pushed you down, so that's Ippon. I'm sorry. Oh, I use an arm. I was just using armbar sweep. Like, you can't do arm bars at white belt. I'm sorry, man. You can't. Or even in brown belt division, they'll still pull guard or try to do flying jujikatame and just get slammed down and be Ippon. Match is done.
Yeah, I was watching a YouTube video the other day because I was trying to explain to someone who asked me like, what's considered a false attack? Like, when can you, like, what's the difference between like skillful entry into Tomoe Nage versus false attack? And I was like, well, you have to pull them off balance. Like, you can't just be like, oh, Tomoe Nage, and just sit in your ass and you know, like,
you're gonna shout Tomoe Nage.
So I actually went on YouTube and was trying to find an example of it, and I actually saw something from Winter Nationals from like 2012 or something that someone uploaded, and he basically, I actually recognized the person in one of the Facebook groups we're in. He's a BJJ black belt. So he owned his own gym and stuff. But anyway, he uploaded this clip of him in a judo tournament, basically saying, "Look at this bullshit, right? Like, I got a false attack Shido for it." And he pulled guard. He tried Tomoe Nage and then transitioned into an arm bar, and they called mate and then gave him a Shido for it. And he couldn't understand. He was like, "That wasn't a guard pull. I was doing Tomoe Nage." But the problem was he did not pull the person off balance. The guy just like squatted down and was still balanced, so he basically lowered his center of gravity to avoid being dragged, and he ended up falling, but that's because he caught his arm and he had to fall, otherwise it would break his arm, right? So everyone in the comments were like, oh yeah, that's totally not false attack, the ref doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm just
well,
thinking,
also,
you guys just don't know the rules.
Yeah, well, it's the thing about people that don't know judo talking about judo, you know, like, I'm not going to say I know everything about BJJ, you know, I train a little bit, I work with some BJJ guys, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I know the rules, I know this. No, I don't know the rules of BJJ at all. Okay. I don't know, IBJJF rules or any of them. But like, we had a guy, one of our members, he owns his own BJJ club. He used to train with us a long time ago, and he was trying to get really good at judo, and he was accomplishing, you know, he's getting pretty good at throws. But one of the tournaments he went to, all he did, and I'm so happy that he didn't get caught, because even though his coach was shouting it, he was pulling guard. He would do the whole thing. He would fake Tomoe Nage just enough to be able to pull guard, sweep, and get to the pin.
I mean, that's a legitimate strategy. I've seen people do it, right?
It is, but again, he was at least pulling the guy enough to make it look like Tomoe Nage. But the entire time, like, oh my God, he's gonna get called. Oh my God, he's gonna get called this time. Oh my God, he's gonna get called. And every time it's like enough pull, but the other coach is like just yelling, Shido, that's pulling guard. I'm just like, nah, man, it's not pulling guard. He's doing Tomoe Nage. I ain't pulling guard.
If I were to train someone who's like pretty skilled in BJJ to compete at a judo tournament, I would totally teach them Tomoe Nage. Like,
I would teach
an actual Tomoe Nage and actually try and get an ippon out of it instead of trying to get score out of it instead of using it to pull guard. I think that would make you a very dangerous competitor. Like,
I think we teach them like I think Kochigari or Ochigari would be better for them, I think.
Hmm.
Because if you don't get it, you can pull guard from there as well. But that's just my opinion.
That I don't know. I've seen, I guess it's because I've trained with some BJJ people that have really good Tomoe Nages. I can see how the kind of opportunities that they get out of it. So that's just me.
So that'll be something interesting to happen next year next year at Summer Nationals in New Jersey. You're going to do the Kosen rules. Let's see if they're going to be the same as what they have now. Are they going to change them? Let's see if we got some more BJJ people come inside. One thing I will say about BJJ guys, I'm not going to bash or nothing. It's just that they need to learn the rules. Is that years ago, now this is like close almost 10 years ago, I did a tournament in Vegas, and because Vegas has like they have like 3 judo schools in all of Vegas. It's like very small. Like they have 3 or 4 judo schools in all of Vegas, but they have tons of BJJ schools with all the MMA gyms. So this tournament had a lot of BJJ guys coming in doing the white belt division. And I swear, Adidas Judo was making a killing that day because everybody came with their BJJ gis and they were getting told, hey, you need to change your gi, you need to change your gi, you need to change your gi. And they didn't have gis, so they all had to buy brand new gis. So my BJJ buddies out there, okay? Learn the rules. Join IJF. I mean, not join IJF. Join USA Judo, USJA or USJF, and buy a judo gi. All right. And I'd love to see you guys out there. All right. Be fantastic to see you guys out there on the mat.
Yeah, I think otherwise, other than the stuff we talked about, it's just mostly the delays and the schedule that causes most adults to not want to compete. So,
yeah, that's why we need to start the adults at the same time.
Yeah, and kids don't have a choice. Their parents force them to compete. So, but adults is a demographic you have to market to.
We want to compete. Okay, I like competing. The only reason
I like competing,
I would compete more often, but because of like how long it takes and how long the wait is, I only compete at the big tournaments now. Okay, Winter Nationals, Summer Nationals, Nikkei Games, Golden State Open, California State Games. I only do the big ones because they're well run. I don't go to the little ones no more. I'm sorry. I don't go to West Covina. That's another one here in the SoCal. Okay. I don't go to the Westminster ones unless I'm coaching.
Okay. Should we wrap it up? I think
All
we've
right.
talked long enough about tournaments.
Okay. So Anthony, is there anything else you want to add to this talk about tournaments?
No, I think that's something we should lay to rest and not talk about anymore.
Oh, it's gonna come up again. It always gonna come back to tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are judokas in the US and you have time, like try and volunteer for your local tournament. Like they don't really make money out of it, so it's more for the athletes. So yeah.
And this might be a topic for later stuff. But hey, if you don't like the reffing in judo tournaments, I want to see you go out there and do it. I've done it before. It is a hard job with no thanks. No one says, hey, that was a great call. I appreciate it. Everybody says that's a terrible call. You're blind. You didn't see that. And everybody tries to show their phone in your face nowadays also. Yep. Look at this. But, guys, go out there, compete when we can next year, hopefully. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at @GR8_Juan. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws. If you guys have any comments, leave them down at the bottom. We're always interested in hearing from you guys. If you want to email us, also email us. Have the Reddit stuff up there. Get in contact with us, all right?
You need to get on Reddit.
I got so many other damn things to worry about all the time.
I don't think it's a very good time to go on there right now. Everyone has too much time and they're shit posting because of the shutdown. So.
No, that's another thing. Hopefully we get our gyms open soon.
Okay. Talk to you guys later.